know what it does to you? Hydrogen cyanide?
What are your first thoughts when hydrogen cyanide is first mentioned to you?
A rapidly acting, potentially deadly chemical? If so, you would be completely correct in your thinking. However, our aim during this presentation is to give you some information on the role that oxidative phosphorylation plays in the production of the energy source ATP. Firstly, we aim to give you some background information about the role of oxidative phosphorylation within living creatures. We will provide you with information as to how oxidative phosphorylation produces the energy source ATP. Secondly, once we have outlined the importance of oxidative phosphorylation, we will link this into how hydrogen cyanide prevents the production of ATP. Our objective is to make you aware of the specific molecules that hydrogen cyanide acts upon, and in turn how this affects aerobic respiration in the mitochondria.
You would know aerobic respiration as glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide, water, and energy in the form of ATP. There are 4 stages to aerobic respiration, and ATP is produced in the last stage, which is called oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation is the main step that produces most of the ATPs in respiration. It is related with 2 parts, the electron transfer chain and the ATP synthase. The whole process starts from the electron transfer chain. To begin with, NADH gives up its 2 high-energy electrons to complex 1, and they get transferred to complex 3 via ubiquinone. Then cytochrome C carries the electrons from complex 3 to complex 4, where those electrons end up binding to the external electron acceptor oxygen, forming water. Through this process, the energy given up by the flow of electrons is used by the complexes to shuttle protons from the matrix into the intermembrane space. This produces a proton concentration gradient. ATP synthase, working like a hydroelectric generator, utilizes the concentration gradient to produce ATP, while the intermembrane protons flow down into the matrix.
Hydrogen cyanide is a toxic gas which makes it potentially fatal because, once inhaled, it can lead to very fatal consequences. Cyanides are generally well absorbed by the gastrointestinal tract and through the respiratory tract. Organs such as the central nervous system and the heart are most affected. The reason behind this is because they both require high concentrations of oxygen for aerobic respiration. So the real question is, how does hydrogen cyanide, or in particular its anionic cyanide form, affect oxidative phosphorylation and lead to cell death?
Well, as we have already seen, several components reside within the mitochondrial membrane, and each play a role in the buildup of the proton concentration gradient, with exception to complex 2. All then transfer electrons to the final electron acceptor, oxygen. Now, complex 4 is an important stage of oxidative phosphorylation. It's the site where oxygen binds to the heme alpha-3 copper B binuclear center and as a result pumps 2 hydrogen ions across the membrane to the intermembrane space. The binuclear center can exist in 3 oxidation states. Oxygen only binds when the binuclear center is fully reduced. Therefore, the presence of oxygen is necessary because the reduction of oxygen is coupled to the phosphorylation of ADP. However, in the presence of a weak acid, hydrogen cyanide, it will dissociate to release cyanide anions. This time, cyanide can interact with all 3 states, but has the highest affinity for the partially reduced state. If cyanide binds to complex 4, electrons from cytochrome C can no longer be transferred to oxygen, meaning the cells no longer aerobically produce ATP.
As you have seen, cyanide poisoning can have very detrimental effects on one's health. If the case of poisoning is not reversed immediately, it can cause a cascade of reactions, leading to neurological or myocardial dysfunction or immediate death. A good example previously seen is the mass murders of the Holocaust, especially in extermination camps. It is still used as a method of suicide today.